The way that we approach it is like you're hiring a team member to do your ads. You're not buying a system. That's kind of how we position it against others.
You're listening to Breakthrough with Coach B, where we help you work less so you can earn and live more. Our mission is to free you from the unnecessary, the repetitive, and the draining, so you can focus on what you love, excel at, and grow your business. Let's dive in. Hey, it's me, Coach B. Let's face it, most realtors dabble in digital ads without ever seeing consistent results. Well, this week on Breakthrough, I'm joined by my friend Andrew Fogliato, the founder and visionary of Just Sell Homes, and he's here to unpack why that is, and more importantly, what to do about it. Andrew doesn't just sugarcoat it. If 100 agents are running ads right now, maybe one is doing it well. The difference? Well, strategy, systems, and knowing how to manage a lead once it comes in. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of ad spend, lead handling, performance versus brand marketing, and why throwing $500 at Facebook just isn't going to cut it anymore. Whether you're new to digital ads or ready to stop wasting money on boosted posts that go nowhere, this conversation will give you the clarity and confidence to invest wisely and convert consistently while letting go to grow. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Andrew Fogliato from Just Sell Homes. Let's get into it. Imagine freeing up 10 hours a week to focus on what you love, personally and professionally. Ready to get started? Our free guide walks you through the first step, a resource review to identify where you spend your time, money, and energy. Download it now at bradenwheatcroft.com/review or find the link in our show notes. Let's get you closer to your breakthrough. Let's dive in. What should I ask you first?
What do you do to look so good all the time?
Why do you always look and sound so good and smart and handsome all at the same time?
It's Zoom filters.
Yeah, Zoom filters. That's great. I've got sepia over top of Lagos over top of California.
Yeah, there's nothing natural.
There's all my Instagram filters right there.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to sit down and maybe definitely enlighten me, because I'll be honest with you, I've been pretty engaged in, I'd say, like organic social for a long time, but social ads, other than like occasionally hitting the boost button on a thing, and maybe that could be what we can eventually get.
We can start there.
I know for a lot of my colleagues, the idea of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, digital ads, there's some agents who do it really, really well. But I would say if we had 100 agents lined up and we asked them if they're actively campaigning on social with ads, I mean, how many do you think would say yes to that?
So 100 that are running ads, or
you walk into my office, there's 100 agents here. Like, do you think half of them are running ads these days?
Even if half are, maybe one is getting consistent, predictable results. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Like, the ad topic is actually a tough one, because and I love talking about it, but this is where I prefer doing like a podcast and like a 1-minute reel. There's a lot of nuance to what makes ads work in real estate. Like, when I got started in real estate, this was 13 years ago, there's no housing category, there's no rules. Like, I could run ads to one person if I chose.
Right.
Like, I've done that where I've like picked a single person and run an ad to them with messaging very directly for them, and could disguise that it was coming from me.
Wow. My wife would love to have that level of targeting, because she could be like, pick up this from the grocery store, because she texts me and I always forget, but I'm on social.
So I used to joke, and this is actually a true story that I did one time. I was fantasy football. This is to date myself a little bit. Donovan McNabb was the number one fantasy football player. So long time ago, Eagles quarterback, killed it in fantasy. And I would run an ad to my friend who had him on his team from ESPN that Donovan McNabb was hurt and out for the season, breaking news. And then I'd send him, once it triggered that it's been shown, I would send him a trade for Donovan McNabb. And I got unlucky. He, like, right before he hit accept, because he thought he was sneaking one by me, and this like pure coincidence, trading him for like pennies on the dollar. He Googled it to double check and realized it was wrong. But I almost got that one through on him, but it's because I knew how to. I'm pretty sure the commissioner would have rescinded it, but I was like, it's gonna be
no kidding. So you are the commissioner of your fantasy football league or of the NFL?
The fantasy football league, but that was so that's why I used to be able to do it. But you could run it to one, or like I would coach basketball. I was a big basketball guy, and I used to coach kids, and I didn't want to be the annoying coach who's also like, by the way, I'm with Remax.
Yeah.
Let's talk about selling your home while I'm coaching your kids. But so what I used to do, and this was early days of Facebook ads. Weren't charged by the impression. So if I picked like conversion, I was only charged if it got conversions.
Mm.
So I actually set up my ads as conversion ads with the goal of I made it really hard to convert.
Yeah.
But for me, it was actually a free branding ad. And I would run it just to the gym where I practiced with the kids and had games. And I would just put my face on the balloon. And I just get parents coming up to me being like, funny coincidence. I just saw on Facebook that you're in real estate. Can we chat? I was like, that is a funny coincidence. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so like you could do little hacks like that back then. And so like things worked really, really easily with Facebook ads. Then like over time they got more serious. They figured out the impression thing, charging based on that and all the other things. So it's been more complicated, but there's kind of two parts. So one, if someone comes to us, the first thing I always want to know, like if you want to run ads, is like, have you run ads before?
Mm-hmm.
And where does your business come from today? Because a lot of people will be like, I need leads, which fair, most people do. But it's like, let's say you come to me and you're 90% repeat referral right now. Mm-hmm. And the other 10% might be like open houses, you run people out. Yeah, just like listing. Random. Yeah. There's been no like coordinated strategy to bring leads in and follow up.
I often refer to that as like the by accident business.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Like, and we get a lot of those people coming to us who it's like, those people who like, because so many agents fall into this trap, like the first 2 years of their career, they like sell their friends and family.
Oh yeah.
They have a great first 2 years and then they just run out of people to talk to, except there's a few people who like they got a couple sign calls and it snowballed. And like before they knew it, they had a $400,000 to $500,000 a year business with no clue how to get clients.
Yeah. We call it the sophomore slump because all the low hanging fruit is picked from the tree. Right. And
exactly.
And you all of a sudden you find yourself in this weird position where you have to start learning how to generate new business, strangers, complete strangers who don't know, like, and trust you yet.
I have no idea how.
And yeah, no, it's
so
a skill.
I've come to me like Facebook ads. I was like, okay, well, have you ever called an online lead before? Especially Facebook ads. Like if I look at like, if we have over here, a closed deal, over here is the general public.
Yeah.
Like you're used to repeat referral, maybe open houses. That's how far you got to take them. A Facebook lead is going to be way back here and you got to take them all that way with your follow-up. Mm-hmm. That's a lot more work. And if you've never done that before, you're going to struggle kind of bringing them in. So first thing we always want to find out is like, have you worked with online leads before? Like, are you okay? Like actually picking up the phone and calling them a lot of times. Like calling one time in the first week is not a way to get success with that. So for some people, it's like, okay, you want leads in. You first, before you hire us to do that, you need to build out a system. So like this is actually where our team created this 8-week program to help people build out their marketing system. It was not to like launch a course or any consulting or things like that. It was literally just, we were losing too many clients on the ad side who we would get them leads. Like we had one team, 1,000 leads over 6 months. They didn't get a single deal.
Right. This is the, I'm having flashbacks to the Glengarry, Glen Ross scene of like the leads are weak. And you're like, leads are weak. You're weak.
So we took it. Oh, it literally is 99% of the time the agent's fault. And I could explain what I mean by that. But what we started doing is if you have not worked that before, we made you go through this 8-week program first, where we built out the system. Mm-hmm. Then we'd throw leads into it. Because otherwise I knew, like I could pinpoint on the sales call, like if you're going to hire us, I guarantee within 3 months, you're going to quit.
Yeah.
If I'm on a sales call and someone's like, I worked with this company, the leads are shit. I worked with this company, the leads are shit. I worked with this company, the leads are shit. Now I'm coming to you. I can guarantee 99.9% of the time, 6 months from now, they're going to be at the next company saying I worked, and I'm just added to that list of people because leads are leads.
Yeah.
Like how we're getting we're going back to the idea before I talked about where it's like, Facebook leads are here, Google leads would be here, open houses, referrals, like There's just where you get them. Like no one's changing that. Like the closer you get to the transaction and the higher intent there is to transact, the better the quality the lead or prospect is. And the further back you go, the lower quality.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook ads, for the most part, are going to be here. There'll be a few that come in that are going to happen to be here, but that's more luck.
Yeah.
Because you're getting people who aren't searching for anything. They just happen to be on Facebook and your message came up. If you want the like come list me style leads, you have to set up your ad to bring that in and do it in a way that you're probably going to pay $100 to $300 per lead that way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just trying to get like the lowest cost per lead, which is what most people want, like $1 to $5 a lead is very reasonable in a lot of marketplaces.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. Like that's better than cold calling, but it's going to be a lot closer to cold calling than anything else. If your goal again is leads. So if like I was to say, let's build the perfect system for online ads, it's two parts. So first is like, if you just need leads, you need an ISA.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's anyone who is like long-term successful, funneling leads into a business, has someone whose only job is to call them. And their job on that call is just to identify if this person's in the market or not. And then if they are, you set an appointment for the OSA or the realtor on the ground, whether that is the person hiring or like someone on the team.
Inside sales agent, ISA, OSA, outside sales agent, and rep.
So that'd be like your buyer agents on the team or something like that.
Yeah.
They get the actual in-person appointment. The ISA takes the like sets the appointment for them. Bang, bang, bang. Like that is, if you try to round robin it, you're destined to fail almost every time. Like the only way I think from a team end it truly works from a predictable, repeatable way is you have to be giving appointments to your agents, not leads.
Right.
I think this is why most brokerages setups that send out leads fail. It's because it's not set up the right way, and like it's a complicated one to do and to set that up well. And ISAs have a lot of turnover. The other way is to run ads that instead of getting them, like again, going back to that line, like instead of getting them here,
mm-hmm.
you actually use your ads to get them here.
Right.
And then they reach out at this point, and then it's just like a come list me. But you're still doing that work. You're just doing it from an ad instead of doing it with like your email and your texts and your calling. So if I were to set it, like if I went back into sales today, I'm not probably going to go and hammer the phones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to create a lot of content, like similar to what you do. I'd create a lot of content and I'd put money behind the content. And a lot of my budget, because especially for most people, exception if you're downtown Toronto, you're downtown Vancouver, where it's like millions of people. I'm in Newmarket, a town of around 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, on the grand scheme of things compared to commission, that expensive on Facebook and Instagram to reach 100,000 people. So like I could get my content with video views because video views are cheap. I could consistently probably get almost everyone in town to see me at the beginning with a relatively small budget once a quarter. But you can get to a point where every month, if they're in your town and on Facebook or Instagram, they see your content. Then it's just retargeting, right? Like I would retarget a lot. And that's where I'm going to start generating the leads. Is I want hard branding first where everyone knows me, and then retarget for the leads.
You know what's hilarious about this? Because I feel like I can just sit back, because I know you are not only a great podcast guest, but you're also you do a lot of speaking and training and stuff. So I feel like I could just like step out and make myself a coffee and like let you enlighten us for 60 minutes. And so a part of me is like, oh, I'm going to throw my questions out the window here because this is great. I love where this is going. You know what's hilarious about it? In a way, it's like you're almost answering the first question I wanted to ask you without even asking. And I wanted to ask you about the idea of the, I call it the DEY agent, the do everything yourself agent, which is frankly most agents, as you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about what the appeal of doing, your ads yourself versus, hiring out and engaging a company like yours. And I already think you've just answered that, because what you've just given me insight in is the thoughtfulness, the strategy, everything that goes into like, why should I be getting branded ads, boosting content versus retargeting, things like that. To me, that's the answer. Because if I have, say, I'm a DEY agent and I have $500 a month that I'm spending on ads, there's a very good chance I'm not doing a good job.
Now, the flip side of that is if you have a $500 a month budget, you're not hiring us. because like a company like ours, just to manage the ads is a $1,250 a month fee.
Yeah.
So like I will tell you, if your ad budget is $500 a month, you're better off just taking $1,750 a month and brute forcing your ad. Like you got to spend at least $1,000 in ads to make it worth paying us $1,250.
Right. And just to be crystal clear on that, because the audience, the intended audience for this episode, are people who are doing their own ads right now. So they're somewhat familiar. They have a Meta business suite. They at least they think they do, but they're thinking about letting go of this piece.
Yeah.
When you talk about the cost side of things, I understand that there's essentially two categories. There's the cost of management, which is not just management. Like it's the strategy and it's the oversight and it's the accountability. But then there's the cost of ad spend, correct?
Correct. Different agencies set that up differently, right? So like these are questions you need to ask of if you're going to hire anyone. So like, for example, how we set up, and there's very, very specific reasons we do it this way, is we run the ads out of the client's ad account. So like your ad, so like for example, let's say we ran your ads for you.
Yeah.
I would get access to your ad account and I'd run the ads out of there. You're going to pay Facebook and Instagram directly. You have full visibility to everything. If you fire us and remove us from the ad account, you keep everything that's in there.
Yeah.
That's fine. Others, how they might do it is you hire them. Your monthly fee is, say, just for argument's sake, $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually get much insight into how much of that is management fee, how much of that is leads. Because what some companies will do, some are transparent about this, some are not, is they're going to say, I'm going to get you 30 leads a month for this $1,000.
Yeah.
If they can get that on $2, they're going to pocket the rest. If they don't, then they're going to have a little bit lower margin that month. But that's kind of how they increase their profitability, is like, hey, if I get the cost per lead down, that's all extra money in my pocket.
Yeah.
So that's how some others approach it. I don't like that model. The way that we approach it is like you're hiring a team member to do your ads. You're not buying a system.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we position it against others. And then the other thing, like if you're hiring someone to consider, is like if they ever ask for your Facebook password, they're doing it wrong. There is no reason any agency should ever need your password to get into Facebook or Instagram. There's a little bit on the organic Instagram content side. They might need it, but that's it.
And again, I'm very much a novice, and I'm just going to state it on the public record. A goal of mine would be to make enough revenue in my Coach B business that I could hire your team at $1,250 a month to manage my $1,000 plus ad spend. That would be awesome.
Now, what I will always say to something like that is the first thing we'd want to do is get a call to see, is that actually the best use of that money for you, right? So like, let's say you have the $1,250 for us, the $1,000 for, so we're saying, let's round even $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
Is that actually the best spend for your business? Right? Like maybe you would get more. And again, I'm going to selfishly use my own products here as an example. Like, would you actually get more doing 2,500 buy in REM than you would from Facebook ads? Would you get more from producing just more reels for Instagram? Would you like? What about if you just spent 2,500 mailing out brochures to every brokerage in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, we also have to look at like highs, and for not everyone is the answer Facebook and Instagram ads. Like we will work with people and like talk to them and be like, I actually don't think this is right for you. Like we had a call recently with someone, he was doing 50 to 60 transaction a year by himself. And he actually didn't want to go past that. His biggest issue was that it wasn't consistent. And it all came from his fear. So he's like, I want it to be consistent. I want to buy some Facebook ads. And as we were talking, it became pretty clear that like this was the wrong approach for his business, because he wasn't going to go start like he's doing 50, 60 transactions without even an admin.
Yeah.
So for him to add in leads and then start calling them, other stuff's going to drop off for him. And that's where it's bread and butter. So I was like, to be honest, you're better off hiring like, so I kind of gave him two options. I was like, either you got to hire us on the 8-week program to build out your marketing system in a way that it can be like an automated follow-up and you just kind of can skim the cream off the top type of idea. And like, yeah, you're going to have some leakage in there, but at least you're saving your time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to go hire a coach and get a coach who can kind of help you systemize your business in a way that you can pull yourself out and then focus on the marketing. I was like, those are your only two options to me, is if this is your goal, is you either hire the coach or you do the 8-week program. And I was like, I'll be honest with you, if I were in your shoes, I'd go the coach first, then come back to me in 3 to 6 months.
So going forward, how much do I have to pay you to not just say Coach B? Because that's exactly what we do is we help people unstuck themselves. So yeah, no, absolutely. You got to get the systems in place for sure.
So and I'll be transparent. Like on that call, he was like, well, which coach do you think? Oh, I then had to ask him because like because I have a lot of relationships with different coaches.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Again, no, I like to be transparent about it. Is we ask them like, what's type of business you want to run? It's like if someone they never want to chase leads and they want a referral based business, like the ROI world is kind of the most sense for a lot of them. But others, it's like, no, I want to chase leads. I don't even want to work with people that know me. I want to keep that part of my life separate.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Then like you might be getting into like the Craig Proctor direct response style, right? Like, and then there's a ton of things in between depending on like what their goals are. So we typically, when we're on those calls, we will kind of ask them a few questions about their style and then give them like 2 or 3 names of people that fit within that.
I'm loving the level of thoughtfulness that you put into your process, because to me it's like one of those things like it's a classic, whether it's a podcast interview an agent listens to, or they, heaven forbid, they go to a conference and they hear you speak at the event and they come back fired up and like, okay, I'm running ads now, I'm in the ads business, right? Like they've never done it before, they've dabbled a little bit. But I just love the fact that you might get a call from that person and you might talk them into a different path. It might not just be ads. And I suspect not everyone in your arena operates like that. I'm sure there are lots of people that call and the first question the company asks is, what are the last 16 digits of your credit card?
Yeah. And like I've been in the masterminds with some of those agencies. I had to leave them because of they literally train you. Like in some of the masterminds, like I remember it was a very clear hour-long topic at a mastermind. It was the last time I went there. They were trying to train the group on how to train their sales teams to walk people through taking a home equity line of credit out to pay for their service.
Gross.
And I'm like, I can't do that. Like I would rather tell someone to wait and then give them like some advice on how to get leads in for free. Right.
So
like,
let's pull on that thread then. When you say someone tell someone to wait, let's say that person waits and then they call you and all of the conditions are in place now for this to do it in a not cringe way, like getting a home equity line of credit. What would be some of the first couple things that you would do with them? Like, what does that look like? I hire to sell homes. Maybe I take your 8-week training, so I kind of know the game plan I need to run, so I don't call you in 9 weeks and say these leads are shit. So like, what's that?
So we'd establish that before you hire us. So like the process typically is like you'd get on a sales call with me and we're going to chat. On that call, we're just going to decide, are you actually ready? Because like some people will come in and say I'm ready and they're not actually ready. And then at that point, I'll basically say like, here's your 2 options. You can do the 8-week program. And I'll be like, I would strongly recommend you do this first. Mm-hmm. If not, we can try this program for a month, test you out. Cause sometimes it's that, until you get punched in the face, you don't know. So like, let's try it out. Cause like we also go month to month. There's no commitments. Like some people can try it for a month and pause it, do the 8-week program, then come back. Right. And then we've done that before too. But like, typically we'll kind of on that call be like, I'll make a recommendation of which direction, but ultimately it's your choice. But I'll be like, if you should be on the 8-week one first, I'm going to strongly recommend it. Yeah. And then let's say you're now into the ad side. First call. So I work with my wife. My wife, Amanda, will do an onboarding call. And we're just going to get access to your page, do that, the very technical side of it. And on that call, she's going to book with me a strategy call. That strategy call, we typically will book for 60 to 90 minutes. And that's where I'm diving into your business to learn about it. Like I want to know, not even related to Facebook, like what's worked for you to get clients? What have you done that's worked? What have you done that's not worked? Where do your clients come from? What kind of clients do you want? Like if you could build a dream business, what would that look like? I also need to establish expectations. So the question I use to ask a lot of times for that is like 12 months from now, we're looking back on the decision you made to hire us. What would have to happen between now and then for you to say that's a success?
You call that the Dan Sullivan question? Because that's what I call that question. Yeah.
Because some people will come in with like, oh, like nothing crazy, but if I get like 10 listings a month, then I think that'll be a success. I'm like, you're spending $600 in ads. You're not getting 10 listings a month. Other people come in and just be like, I have an idea of what it would cost to get a client from Facebook, right? Like people have such wildly different expectations. And I always reiterate again, because I've probably already asked that question on the sales call, but I found that before and after people have given you their credit card, that answer changes.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So I like to ask again. And I find I get the more honest answer after they've paid. So we asked that question again. There's been like, I think one time ever, the answer to that question caused me to give them their money back. Because I was like, that's not going to happen. But that's why I always ask it again. So we established that, and then we figured, okay, where's the best place for Facebook ads to help your business? Right? Like if you're a content creator, those are my ideal clients, as people who create content regularly that we can promote out there and then retarget the people who are engaging with it and kind of can do stuff like that. If you don't even know how to get into your account,
Yeah.
then I can't run kind of that type of ad. I have to go very hard into direct response.
And direct response, is that like the classic advertising way of saying like a lead magnet? Because everyone should have a lead magnet these days.
Yeah, and don't overcomplicate it. Like literally a list of homes, right? Like it's the easiest. Like this is one that Craig Proctor popularized, but a lot of other people like most. I would say almost every, because like very similar to realtors, agency owners have their own Facebook groups, and everyone asks about working with realtors because it's a low hanging fruit that everybody knows. And they always like the most consistent ad is just get a list of homes for sale. There's variations on that. You can be like, get a list of homes for sale under this price, get this type of home, get this. Like, but essentially what you're doing is saying, I have homes for sale. Would you like to get them in your inbox? That's the easiest campaign. That's the cheapest.
And it's funny because that seems so overly basic, and yet, this is sort of a 3-year goal. Mandy and I want to either buy or build a cabin in Port Renfrew, which is about 2 hours out of on the west of Vancouver Island, outside of Victoria. And if I saw an ad that said, "Get a list of cabins or
waterfront lots,
ready lots," I would as a person who still has a real estate license, 15 years in, would click on that ad.
Yeah. And that's the easiest way to get leads in. And like, again, market dependent a little bit. $1 to $5 a lead is what we aim for with types of ads like that. But then you got to get into like, and this is one that everyone has to think about. Too many people run an ad like that on their own, but then they don't think about what happens the second the person submits their information, right? It's like, we will get realtors be like, okay, how do they get that list? And I'm like,
well, where are we driving them to?
Yeah. And so but there's different setups, right? Like some people on their website can just set up a preset search that'll pull that up.
Yeah.
Others, they'll literally manually pull the list each time and send it to them. Others will not send a list till they even had a conversation with them. But like, you got to think about all that flow.
Yeah.
To like direct it in the ad. But you don't overcomplicate it. And what's my home worth? That still gets leads. That's like, there's a team in Ontario that I think at their peak were doing 1,700 deals a year. I think with the market going down, they went down to about 1,000. They just run the VIP list of homes and home eval. Those are the two offers. They've scaled it to over 1,000 deals a year. Like, it's not that you have to have these like crazy complicated lead magnets. You just need the right message in front of the right person at the right time.
And you said there's two paths there. There's the people who are creating content already. So these are the people who are making reels and posting them and whatnot. That's one path. And then you talked about boosting those or whatever the language was there. Maybe correct me on the boost thing.
Yep,
and then retargeting. And then you said for people who are not prolific content creators, that then you would like the listicle, the list of homes, whatever.
And I'd probably even for the content creators still recommend a version of list of homes.
Yeah.
As like part of the offerings, but instead of it being out to everybody, it's a little bit more on the retargeting side.
Yeah.
And this is where like understanding someone's flow and why like I look at us as a team member is what works as like we have like the rule of thumb of like, hey, this is the ideal flow. But we'll have to adjust that based on the clients sometimes. Like I'll give you an example. We had a client in the US and you've probably seen these ads at some point somewhere in the real estate world where it's like guaranteed cash offers on your home in 24 hours, right? Like ads like that. He was running one of these as a test. And what we found was that, so like for him to be able to do that, because he actually legitimately did bring someone an offer from a wholesaler every time, is he had to have them answer a 20-question survey to get that. And if someone was Googling like sell my home fast, sell my home for cash, they'd fill out a 20-question survey. Then when we put that same one on Facebook and said fill out a 20-question survey, we'd sent like 1,000 people to the survey. Not one person filled it out.
Too much friction.
And they weren't looking for it. So now they have no desire to write that. So instead, what we did is we took one step back. We did it as a lead form. We got their name, email, and phone number, and then sent them to the survey. Now the follow-up from the ISA team was, let me help you finish the survey. We'll do it together on the call.
Right.
And now they started getting people. So like you had to kind of take a step back. Okay, where's the break? What happened there? And then build it out. So that's where you got to get into like the weeds of every team could be a little bit different, or like, even though this is an optimized flow, your team is set up this way.
Yeah.
And that's like, you're not going to change that. So I have to figure a way how to adjust our campaigns to fit your team's flow. Or like, even though you know that'll leak a little bit, it's a much bigger leak to change your whole system.
You've made it this far, which means you're ready for your next breakthrough. If you're tired of trying to figure it out all on your own, let me guide you. Join the waitlist for our next Breakthrough Academy, a 6-week virtual group coaching program where I'll teach you our proven breakthrough method. With live lessons, expert guests, and a cohort of like-minded agents, you'll learn to work less and earn and live more. Visit bradenweecroft.com/academy or find the link in our show notes. Don't wait. Your breakthrough is just around the corner. I'm curious from the, if we were to pie chart the ad management side of things for a second. Like if I ask you, like, well, what am I getting for whatever it is? Because it's going to vary from service provider to service provider.
Yeah.
How would you break that down?
So, I mean, this is where we are a little probably more transparent than others. Like others will say, like, it gets you this, it gets you. I'm like, I will guarantee you that we're looking at your accounts every week and we're in there, we're looking at it, but I'm not guaranteeing we're doing anything. And the reason behind that is, like, if I have an ad that's working, it's bringing you, I'm not going to make changes for the sake of making changes, because some people, to justify their fee, will make changes. But if it's getting results, like, that's what you're paying for. Like, I had one client, and luckily he was happy to pay for this whole stretch. We didn't change an ad for 14 months because it kept bringing in results. He kept so, but like, we were even open. Like, we're we looked at it. Here's what we saw this week. Here's why we're going to keep it going as is. And then other than that, for the 14 months, we advertised a few of the listings he got. That was about it. But we've had others where we've had to like do 5 changes in a week and then bring in a whole new campaign the next week because we decided that one wasn't working at all. So we look at it as, we want results.
Yeah, could you enlighten me a little bit on like what are the things like how do we know it's working versus it's not working? Like, obviously the end result is a lead, but obviously the lead is not the end result. It might be the end result for the campaign, but it's like, well, do we get an appointment? Do we get a client?
That's why I have to have regular feedback. Like I hammer this home with new clients of like, I need feedback from you. Mm-hmm. Because like the example I use on our sales calls and on our strategy calls about that is, like, we had a client and we had 2 campaigns running for them. One was getting $2 a lead. One was like 23 or something like that a lead. And they were both running at $10 a day. My recommendation was, let's take the budget from the 23 a lead and just add it to the $2 lead. So even if that cost per lead goes slightly up, you're still going to end up with so many more leads. It's a no-brainer on our end to make that switch. Now, when we talked to him and suggested this, he goes, wait. When I'm calling the leads, the $23 a lead, I'm getting 50% of them on the phone having conversations. I can't even get people on the $2 lead to pick up.
Yeah.
So we actually did the reverse. We took the entire budget from the $2 lead and put it onto the 23.
It's kind of like you get what you pay for. You would assume at face value, I want you to get me the lowest cost per lead, period. Like, that's your job, Andrew, and help me get my low cost per lead. And yet, if I knew that I was getting way more traction with a $23 lead over a $2.30 lead, well, actually give me more of the $23 ones, because the multiple of what I'm going to earn on that is still significantly higher.
like at the end of the day, and this does take time to establish, and you should actually, like, people should know this number across all their marketing, is essentially what's your spend per transaction. So, and like the marketing advice in the world, and this is not specific to even real estate, is whoever can spend the most to get a deal will ultimately win. So if I know I can spend 300 per deal and still be profitable, great. But if someone else can spend 1,000 per deal and still be profitable, then yeah, spend like, you're going to spend like crazy and get that.
Yeah.
So it's knowing what that is across, like how much money did you put out, how many deals, that's your spend. So it's like, if you can get that number to say 500, who cares what the cost per lead is? If I know I can, for every 500 in spend, I'm getting a deal.
No, I'm making a big assumption that people who hire you only want leads, and the only measurable that matters is how many leads are you generating for me, and probably what are the cost of those leads is a factor. But are there other metrics that matter? Like, I mean, does reach it matter to some marketers? Does impressions? Does engagement? Does follower growth? Like, does any of that stuff matter?
This is the very much it depends answer of like, it depends on the client, what matters to them. Like, we have clients who actually, we generate them officially 0 leads per month. They're going for the awareness play. They're going for more just being recognized, their database seeing their name come across because they want to make sure they have a certain number of touches per year. There, it's harder to kind of measure what the like we will have KPIs we're aiming for of like, I want this much per view or this much CPM. Like, there are things like that we'll look at, but it does get a lot more into the gray area, because like we have one client, his metric is how many times in a week do like people that he's meeting in person say, I see your ads everywhere. Like, how often is that said to him is his metric of success almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's because it's not as clean. So this is where like leads make it easy, is that's an easy metric. It's very trackable, but it's a dangerous route to go down too. Like, even using a non-real estate example, like this is Nike was dropping down, and because they had gone all in on performance marketing, and they had like pulled back on a lot of their brand marketing, and eventually that had a toll. So like at the beginning they saw the lift, but then because they pulled back on the brand so much, it hurt them in the long run.
Yeah.
So,
like, for example, if I'm looking at my dashboard right now, just on Instagram, and I don't know if this pulls in my Facebook data, but it says in the last 28 days or 4 weeks, I'm 45,000 views in the last 30 days. I don't know if that's good or bad, but all I know is I look at that, and it's because it's all right on my dashboard all the time. And I'm like, oh, if I can get it to 50, I'm pretty happy with that.
But what are you doing after?
Exactly. But if I said, hey, you know what, I'm going to throw $1,000 in advertising, could I go from 50,000 views to 500,000 views? And if I was doing that, I'd be like, okay, that seems on the brand play side of things. Because what I actually don't want, and I would be empathetic to a lot of agents who feel the same way, is like, I don't know that I actually want to lead from Facebook as much as I want my database or my sphere to see my stuff on Facebook so that they call me. Because if I have to chase in a stranger on the internet, I just don't know if I want to do.
And this again, where it comes into what's the right for you, right? Like, for example, I know selling by chat and DMs works really well. It's not amazing for me because my inbox can get pretty crowded at times.
Yeah.
And it's easier to let messages not go through that maybe should. Like, I know that there's unread messages in there that I've missed business over the years because it got buried.
Yeah.
And it's that I didn't have at the time the right systems to kind of manage that. Like, you used to have an option on Facebook Messenger, for example, that was sort by unread.
Yeah.
Why they got rid of that, I have no idea. That was my favorite feature in the world. Then they got rid of it. So I had to like change my approach a little bit. But like for you, like if you're getting a ton of views, okay, how many followers do you get for every 100 or 1,000 views? Like it, but then like if you were trying to look at it, like then are the followers, do you DM every new follower you get? Okay, how many of those people respond?
Totally.
But is that a goal, right? So like for REM, I don't want necessarily DMs coming to REM because we're not selling anything to them. Just sell homes. I would love to have as many DMs as possible.
Yeah.
So it's also like, what's the goal for that business? Like with REM, what I really want is you sharing our article to people in your office, because I just want more people to see REM than I want you to subscribe to our newsletter. For Just Sell Homes, it's I want you to come and pay to attend something.
Yeah.
So it's like, how am I going to engineer that within the system? And that will change that right flow. So that's where you have to look for your business. What is the flow that you need? So for yours, it's like, okay, I got 50,000 views. What does that turn into for your business after that? And that's like, I can't answer that today for you. But it's like, what's your goal? Is it just, I want to increase my follower count? Why do you want to increase your follower count? Because if you want to increase your followers, you can do that for similar price or less to like a lead.
Right.
With name, email, and phone number. But would you rather get name, email, and phone number? Or would you rather just have a new follower? Most people would say I'd rather name, email, and phone number. But if you're not following up, you don't have an email list that's sending stuff out to them, maybe the follower makes more sense for you. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to look at the situation. So like, yes, I would say typically name, email, phone number is better. But any like good marketer to 99% of answers or questions, their answer should be, it depends. The only time I generally use definitive statements is marketing stuff, because definitive statements and hard statements get more attention. So when I say you should never boost a post ever, that's a marketing statement to get you to watch my video.
Yeah.
The real answer is it depends, but you should almost never boost a post.
When should you boost a post?
So I'll start with why you shouldn't. So, and this is like, they are making the boost post button better. Like going back 6 years, never hit the boost post button ever. Like it was a hard, not even an it depends, just never. Like the only part of it depends was it's quick to boost a post. There is no other reasons besides speed/lazy. And every other reason you should. So basically, Facebook, like before, the only option when you boosted a post was it boosted it as an engagement-based post. So they were going to boost you to get more engagement. But if your goal is, I want people to go to my website, you have to go through the ads manager, say, I want traffic to my website. Because let's say we take 100 people that are on Facebook. Facebook knows of that 100 people, who has clicked on links, who has given their contact information to advertisers, who's willing to watch videos, who's not willing to watch videos, who will read long form posts, and who will engage with content and who won't. Because like only about 20% of people actually engage. The other 80% just kind of lurk and watch.
Yeah, the wallflowers.
They chat in DMs and stuff like that. But if you hit boost post, typically it optimizes for the engagers, so that 20% of people who engage. But they're going to like say that 100 people, here's 20 that engage. They're just going to show it to them. But what if my boosted post, my actual goal is to send people to check out this website, but those 20 people are actually over here, but now it's shown it to these 20 here. So by telling Facebook, okay, I want traffic to my website, Facebook's going to analyze the audience that you're showing it to, and then out of that group, pull the people they know will click on a link and go visit a website and show it to that subset of the audience you're targeting. So it helps them optimize your ad to get, so this is how you don't waste. Like we had a client that brought us in for a consult, and they were spending $8,000 a month to drive people to their website with Facebook and Instagram ads. And they were paying something like $3 a click or something insane. And the first thing I noticed when I went in for the consult was all their ads were set up as reach, which is just like reach the most amount of people. Mm-hmm. So all I did was switch all their ads from reach to traffic. I didn't change the creative, the targeting, anything else. I just said, don't optimize for reach, optimize for traffic. In 24 hours, they had an 1,100% increase in the results.
Wow.
Because Facebook now knew what the actual goal was instead of just showing it to the most amount of people. They was like, I want the traffic people. So they sent it to that. So it's like, sometimes that is the difference from successful to unsuccessful. But now, within boosting posts, they're making it better. They are allowing you to make some of those adjustments, but you still have way more options over on the ad management side. So like, unless like it's a speed matters, I would get on your computer, because you have to use the desktop version of the ads manager, not the app. The app, I don't even have the app on my phone because it's so bad. So go to like adsmanager.facebook.com or facebook.com/ads manager and run the ad through there. That's where you should set it up. That's where you're going to get the best results. You're giving yourself the best chance. So I always go through there. But if you want to do it quickly, the other side, if you do it through the app, is you pay the 30% tax. which is the tax they have to pay to Apple to make money through the app.
Yeah,
So
crazy.
instead, I can take that 30% and put it towards ad spend instead of paying it to Apple for no reason.
That's incredible. That makes a lot of sense to me. And on the audience side of things, I'm curious, like when most agents start working with an agency like yours, is that part of the process as well as like, defining who your clients are, getting an ideal avatar?
That's the strategy call is who are your ideal clients? Or like we get a lot of clients, especially in the GTA, and it might be similar where you are, who are like, I'll be like, all right, who are your ideal clients? Or like, where's your geographic area? And they'll be like, oh, I'll work with anyone from Oshawa to Burlington to Barrie and in between, which
Yeah.
that is like, if you know the area, you know why that's ridiculous to a degree. So I was like, well, let's word this differently. If every deal could be in one area, where would that be? Because if we're going to pay for it, we might as well narrow it down. And like, it makes everything else for you easier too. Because like, I think every agent should have a weekly newsletter that goes out over email. And with that, like how you structure that email, what goes into it, that's going to change for different people. But I think anything less than a weekly email, you're leaving money on the table. But that email is so much easier to do if you have a defined group. If I have this person in, Victoria, this person in Nanaimo, this one in Tofino, how are you going to write an email to those three people at the same time that becomes relevant to all of them?
Totally.
It's doable, but it's harder. Now, if I had everybody in Victoria, the opening of my email would be, here's what's going on in Victoria this weekend you might want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And then you have a real estate section of your newsletter.
Yeah.
Right? Like it becomes a really easy thing to do the more you narrow that down. So that's how we try to be like, okay, how can we do that? How can we narrow it down? Put some hand raisers into them that's relevant to the audience. Again, the more narrow, these are like, if you don't have a defined niche, you're also leaving money on the table. So I do try to establish that. And if they don't have it on the strategy call, I try to help them pick one there. We can refine it, get more into it later, but at least let's get something going because you have to have it.
So this is really, honestly, every time you answer a question, it's like brings up 10 more questions. So I think that just again shows the depth that an agency can help you achieve when it comes to that. I'm curious what you think. Is there a tipping point where it makes sense to, or what would the tipping point be to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take some of these best practices away. I'm going to run my own ads. I'm going to do this and that. And now I'm at a point where like, okay, I need to hand this over. Like what would be that tipping point?
I mean, part of it's time. Like if you find yourself you don't have the time to stay up with it. Like if you're getting results, like I'm not going to come out here and say, hey, we do something proprietary that you can't figure out researching. Like that's how I figured it out myself, is researching and running a lot of ads for people. So like, yes, I have an advantage on I can learn things quicker than you now. But the first one is just, do you have the time to do it well, or you just let it go? And then I think past that, once you start hitting over 1,000 a month, 1,500 a month, 2,000 a month spend.
We're talking dollars? Yes, spend.
Yeah.
Spend.
Like if you're in that level of spend on ads, like you should probably bring someone in whose job's starting to manage that. And that could be in the house. That could be like, and we will even work with people like, because especially when we find teams who do like, say, starting around like 750K gross. And that's when they start typically like bringing in an in-house marketing department. If that's where you are, we'll just train your marketing team. Like you don't have to hire us for an ongoing engagement. Like we've worked with teams where it's like, you're hiring us for our ad management, but like we've decided ahead of time, it's only for 3 months.
Yeah.
We're going to get it up and running, get it working, and then train your team to run it.
Well, and I would imagine if we use the number $2,500 a month budget, if we just use that as the benchmark, and the option was, okay, Braden, go and spend $2,500 yourself setting up and managing your own ads, but every dollar of that $2,500 is put to work in advertising. Or I hire you for approximately half my total monthly budget. Which means you as the expert, or your team as the expert, only has 50% of the amount of ad spend at their disposal. I bet you would still double or triple the results because of
bet I would beat in that scenario 95% at least who would run that themselves. There are a handful who can pay the 2,500 direct, manage it, and through that get better results. Yes, that's possible, especially with ChatGPT acting as an advisor and doing stuff like knowing how to prompt it the right way. Like, I'm not saying you can't, but I will beat 95%. Like, I still beat ChatGPT head to head in ad copy. I keep testing it, but the margin is shrinking with the prompts that I can make. And I've kind of refined. It's getting closer. That guy, like when it first came out, I was like, I'm getting like 50% better results than the ChatGPT copy. Now it's like 10, but it just keeps like getting closer and closer because it's training on the stuff that's out there and what's getting results. And like, I'll even feed our data in, being like, here's the results, like suggest 5 changes to the copy because here's what we're seeing. And it will help us like the first draft. So like to me, the ideal is I let it give me the first draft based on like all the stuff I've given it over the years. And then I come in and polish it up. But what I've done, which has made it for us a lot better, is I then feed it back my final version.
Yeah.
And say, this is what I went with. It learns that. And next time, that's why it's that much closer.
Yeah.
It keeps making it better. And then I feed in the results and I keep feeding it more and more data.
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah. And now it's great. And actually what I had to start doing is I've noticed that my ChatGPT was almost like trusting my expertise too much. So it was like starting to be like the ultimate yes man. Like, great idea. Fantastic idea, Andrew. Keep going down this road. You're a genius. And I was like, this is too much. It's too much.
Yeah. Don't call me daddy.
I instituted the 10th man rule in my ChatGPT rules.
Yeah.
Which, so I like the way that I do it, I found this has worked the best for any task is I go and find like 5 experts who we need. Like, think of a market team. Like, you need a copywriter, you need an overall strategist, you need like a UX person, a sales rep. Like, you basically, there's people that if you were to hire the perfect team, you'd need. I go find an actual real life expert that publishes a lot of content. And I say, okay, I'm creating an advisory council for this campaign. And I assemble them together. And then I say, you have to apply the 10th man rule to this group and then like show me the debate. And then I have this person act as my 10th man. Because what the 10th man rule is if you want the easiest explanation, if you've ever seen the movie World War Z, the zombie movie, they explain in there, but it's a real thing outside of that. That's just where it got popularized. Is if 9 people agree on something, that this is what's happening, the 10th person has to act as if they're all wrong. Like, and take it as they are 100% wrong. Here's what we're doing. So I now force ChatGPT every time to have someone act as our 10th man. And they will come in and be like, disagree. And it does actually get you a lot better results. But so does making them simulate a debate among your council. So if I just ask for the output from the council, they'll give it to me. If I have them simulate the debate, you actually see it improve itself as it goes because you can read the debate. And
that's wild, hey?
Yeah. And then I can jump in because the other thing it does is sometimes like during the debate, they'll give an idea that I know is actually better than the final one. But actually, let's go back to this idea.
Yeah.
Let's play with that a little bit more and bring that down. Because like I've even got the point, the amount that I use ChatGPT is I can even now quickly tell which other like people that sell to realtors use it a lot because they use the same naming formats. Like the funniest one, and ChatGPT's tried to get me to use this like 20 times now, is from crickets to clients. Yeah. And it's like how to go from like I'm not getting any responses online to getting clients. But I have now seen like 3 other people who sell to realtors using that exact line of from crickets to clients.
Yeah.
Because it follows the same formula every time. So that's why if you add the 10th man rule in, it breaks it out of that formula.
I love that little tech tip to hurry on top. The last question I want to ask you before we say farewell for today is obviously we've been if it's not obvious to the audience, then they probably were multitasking, not listening to our conversation. I'm trying to convince people to consider letting go of running their ads themselves to someone like yourself. But there's also this middle path that you've created where instead of do it yourself, you kind of have this do it with you option. In terms of your workshops that you're doing. Can you explain a little bit about what those are? And, if someone is like, hey, you know what, I either don't have the ad spend to add up to enough to hire a team like Just Sell Homes to both spend and manage, but I want to learn from the experts. Like, what does that look like?
So this is partially from like a mutual person that we both learned from, but I'd already started kind of going down this route. But like I've now been in real estate training of some sort for 11, 12 years. And what every trainer or facilitator will tell you, and you can probably say the exact same thing, is like we go and speak to an audience. We would be thrilled if 1% implemented what we talked about. Like even 1% of that audience. That's like we know 99% of you, this is just this is just entertainment, right? Like you're not here to grow your business. You're here to be entertained about the idea of growing your business.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. Like there's actually a broker, and I love this line, a little off color, and it's information without implementation is just masturbation. Um, I think the official line is educate is just entertainment. But I love how he changed it. Little inappropriate, but it's accurate.
Yeah.
And so part of this was like, okay, I don't like that. Why am I still going to keep doing that? And so we're like, okay, what if we switch from like a webinar to like a workshop where you actually worked with it on it with me?
Yeah.
So like I created worksheets. So like our most popular one this year has been how to get 12 deals from Instagram in the next 12 months. And it breaks it down into like 3-month segments, exact game plan. But the way, instead of a webinar, I'm just like, yep, do this. It's all right. Here's the first thing you need to do. Great. Now here's the worksheet. Go fill it out. And I'm going to wait 5 minutes on the call with you.
Yeah.
And you go fill it out. And any questions you have, put in the chat and I'll answer them. All right. Next section, worksheet. Next section, worksheet. And by the end of the 3 hours, all that's left is you just have to go and do it. Like we've done one on Facebook ads. I have one coming up this week. That's how to fix your website in 90 minutes with ChatGPT. So we're kind of always doing more, but the idea is, and I make you put a little skin in the game. So they're always between 50 and 200, 300 range.
Yeah.
Pricing, because I want like, and the other thing I like with this webinar is about a 30% show up rate. Even when I make you pay 50, we have almost 100, like it's about 99% show up rate.
Yeah. That's amazing. I refer to as pay attention, right? PAY attention. Like if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. Even in our pilot program of Breakthrough Academy, we're finishing our 6 week this week. And the people who have paid, the guests that are outside of our company, not only are they showing up, but they're showing out. Like they're actually like the feedback I'm getting that is the most positive have been from the people who actually paid money to be part of it. Whereas the agents in our brokerage, they got access to it for free as long as they met the experience qualifier. And they're like, some are there some weeks and not the others.
They don't value it because they didn't put anything in.
So even going forward, I kind of knew this outside of the pilot program anyways, but in the future, I'm going to have a participation pledge even from my own agents in the brokerage, not because I want their money, but I want them to pay attention. And so if they don't meet a certain performance threshold, we'll donate their tuition to Children's Miracle Network or something.
Well, I'd even say like their payment will come back to them on their next commission split if whatever you show they did the work or something. But like you got to make sure they put it in. Like,
but it is striking. Like 5 weeks in, 6th and final week, and the people who have paid money are getting the breakthroughs.
Yeah, like this is why I still do the odd webinar, but like this is why I've mostly stopped doing like traditional free webinars for Just Sell Homes. REM's a different story. But through Just Sell Homes, like it hasn't made sense for us in a long time. Like, and I go back to like when I look at where has Just Sell Homes gotten not just the most clients from, but the best clients. Like I speak, a lot of people go to like a brokerage event for free. I'll speak at it. Might pick up 1 or 2 clients, that type of thing. But like I remember my most successful event ever was $500, 2 days, advanced Facebook ads. And it was $500 to sit with me for 2 days and we just talked Facebook ads for 2 days straight. So at the time, to me, that was expensive because I was like a year into Just Sell Homes. I was like, wait, people are going to spend $500 to spend 2 days with me. And I was like, no, that should at least be $2,000. But back then I was like, this is so much money and they're willing to pay it. And I think I brought home like 20 grand just from the 2 days. And then I was like, and then half the room became clients of Just Sell Homes. Right. I had a 50% conversion rate from them paying me to then paying me more. And I was like, oh, and then it's like COVID kind of derailed that obviously a little bit. And then I just kind of got away. And then I was thinking, wait, those were always the most successful thing for me. why am I not going back to that? Like, I would even do that to a degree in like real estate, like for an agent, is like host workshops, like first time buyer workshops, investment workshops. Like back when I sold, those were my best lead converters, was workshops. And sometimes like you can add payment to it without actually collecting money. Be like, the cost is like a non-perishable food item that we're going to donate.
Yeah.
Like make them bring something. And sometimes just bringing themselves in person is enough. But I always say like, here's what we're doing. Like, you got to come out. It works better.
Well, my man, this has been a blast. I appreciate you making this work. Anything else you want to say to our small but mighty audience?
If you are going to start generating leads, whether it's with us, someone else, try do it on your own, make sure you have a system in place for what happens after you get that lead. Like nothing's like, if you're not building out a system for after and you have to build that first, then you're throwing your money away. Most important thing, have that system, systemize everything. There should be no guesswork. Like your marketing and lead gen shouldn't feel like gambling, where it's like, I'm putting this money out and I'm just hoping to get lucky and something comes back. Like this isn't a casino. Like it should be, I'm putting $2 in and I will know the path for 5 out or 10 out or whatever it is. At the beginning, sure, you might not know that, but you should be able to like see what that path is because you've built it. And then you can be like, okay, now I'm going to figure out what my numbers are for how much in to get how much out. But I at least know what that path is and the numbers I should do.
Totally.
And if you don't have that, go build it, then start running ads.
Yeah. Love it, man. Thank you so much. Go give some chocolate to your kids. Okay. Tell them you found some.
I will. Coach B said you could have some chocolate. You're good.
Exactly. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Breakthrough with Coach B. If you're ready to let go in order to grow, visit bradenweekroft.com for free and paid resources to help you take the next step. Your future self will thank you. Until next time, here's to your breakthrough.